Hey YouTube, thanks for joining me today. I am going to talk about restoring taillight housings for Fox Body Mustangs. I should have started where I'm going to be starting today from the beginning. Instead, I went ahead and painted the insides of the lenses. So that just means that this process that I'm going to show you today is gonna have to be a little more care is going to have to be taken to get it done and make sure this stuff doesn't get all messed up, because basically on my other housing that I just did, something had dripped on it and messed up the paint that was on the housing to clean it up, because you know these things get faded and they look like garbage after a while, and the paint was all wrinkled up. So gave me a couple of options. I can figure out how to remove the paint. I believe this is ABS, but it's textured, so you don't really want to sand it unless you want them smooth. Don't want them smooth because they're exposed to a lot of activity being on the top when you open the trunk or the hatch in my case. So I wanted to keep the texture. Really didn't want to spend a bunch of money on new housings. They can be a little hard to come by in my area on Craigslist, as most Fox Body parts are this day and age. So I did a little bit of research, and I found out that apparently .4 brake fluid works to take these the paint off of this plastic and not damage the plastic. And I did it on my other taillight, and it worked out really well. This will work for taillights that have too much buildup of paint too, and kind of started to destroy the texture underneath. So it's going to allow me to restore these lenses and not have to buy new ones. So this is on a budget. Brake fluid is super cheap. A few precautions you need to take though. You're going to want to use gloves and probably eye protection, although I don't have mine sitting here, so probably won't use it. I'll just be really careful. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the camera down so I can show you guys what I am doing. Okay, so I went ahead and just prepared the workbench. Got a piece of thicker paper to go underneath this thing so I don't get my workbench all dirty like I did doing the first one. And paper towel, .4 brake fluid. So yeah, it's a pretty simple process. I have the housings facing me because I need to be careful of all the silver paint that I just put in there. I'd rather not redo all that stuff. If I need to, I need to, but if I don't need to, then that would be great. I guess I could tape them off, but it's easy enough to keep the fluid off of them as long as you're careful. So what you're gonna do is pour some fluid into the paper towel. You can drip a little bit onto the surface too, because that's where it's going to end up anyway. You really kind of got to get this stuff on here thick because it has to stay wet in order to do what it needs to do. So I'm just kind of dabbing it all around, spreading it around. Get a little more over here. These were actually kind of dirty, not that it matters. Yeah, these ones actually have some overspray on them too from the silver. So the paint really did need to be taken off because I'd rather not put another layer over the probably 3 layers of paint that I already put on these housings in my younger days when I just wanted to make it look clean and wasn't paying attention to the fact that it's textured, and you know, you kind of want to maintain that look. So let's get a little more on here. You really kind of want to pile on as much of this stuff as you can, because if it dries up, then it's not doing anything. And I had that happen to the other taillight lens. This process actually took me about twice as long as it needed to, because I let the stuff dry up. I was thinking that you know, a good 2 or 3 hours would be adequate for these things, but I was dead wrong, and it actually took about 24 hours for it to wrinkle all of the paint so that I could scrape it off. So you just want to get the side real well. The side's going to be a little more tough because it's on the side and the stuff doesn't want to pool up on it as much, but it worked for me. There was one little spot that I had to, I'm just going to wipe some of that I had to scrape off on the side that it didn't bubble. But the solvent and the cleaner had gotten down in there, so it did scrape off. It was a little bit of a pain in the ass, but it did work. So basically what you're going to want to do now that that's all applied, I'm just going to wash off my hands real quick so that I don't accidentally touch any of the other paint. Saran wrap. This stuff is a lifesaver in this type of situation, because you put it over the housing, and then this never works very well. Here, you just set it over the housing like that. And if I could get my hand to stop sticking to this stuff. There we go. Put it over the housing, and I kind of go around the edges just to kind of seal it up so a bunch of air doesn't sneak up through there and prevent the stuff from working properly. So what this does is this just kind of keeps it wet, so you don't have to reapply the brake fluid every time it dries up, which I think I left it overnight with the brake fluid and it all dried up. I don't know how long it took, but most of it dried up. There was maybe a little spot that it was a little bit thicker that actually worked on, but for the most part it all just kind of dried up. So basically leave this here, sit and wait about 24 hours. We are back for the reveal of how this brake cleaner worked on getting the paint off of the top and side of the taillight housing. So I just got home from work a minute ago and I checked it, and it looks like it got a lot of the paint wrinkled up here, but not all of it. And this is what it looks like. So as you can see, a lot of it's off. Some of it is not. The side didn't get very much at all, really. So I guess we are going to go for round 2 on this. So what I'm going to do here, is I'm just going to remove what I can, and I'm going to leave the rest. I'm going to leave it set up for probably tomorrow morning. It should probably be good. A lot of it's getting there. So grab some gloves. Okay, so put these guys on here. It's best not to get that brake fluid all over your hands if you have a choice. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, got this little scraper. I think it's from just like a patch kit for drywall or something. I don't remember where it came from, but it was hanging on my tool wall. So it's you don't want to use metal really, because you don't want to actually put any gouges or anything in the plastic. So I'm just using a plastic one. It's not hard. If you feel more comfortable, you can always kind of file down these edges, but haven't had any problems yet. Don't anticipate having any. So basically what you're going to do, once this is all wrinkled up, that means that the paint has separated from the plastic. So you're just going to take the scraper and just run it right along there. And actually, that removed quite a bit more than I thought it was going to. I think there might be like a primer under here. I don't know if that's something I did back in the day, or if that's something that was already there. But you see, like that spot right there, it wasn't wrinkled, but it kind of scraped off. So you'll get areas like that. Unfortunately, the rest of it isn't gonna be that easy. So if you're lucky and it all goes in one shot, then the whole thing will just come off. And that's what happened when I removed the paint from the other housing. Just all came off in one nice big strip, and it was real easy. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. Yeah, this side needs to sit a while longer. So now what I'm gonna do is just kind of move this, get this sheet out from under here, crumple this up, and that's gonna go in the garbage. Now, rinse and repeat, I guess, right? Good morning. We are back in the garage with this taillight housing. It looks like it should be good to go. Let me angle this down a little bit here. Is that enough? Yep, that's enough. So last night I came out, was a little worried about it not having enough brake fluid on the side. So I went ahead and saturated this paper towel and then set it over it. So hopefully that helped keep it wet. So let's take a look and see. Yeah, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Let's get the old scraper out. Go to town on it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is all the paint. So, you may be wondering, how do you get this brake fluid off? That's the next thing I'm going to show you right after I get done wiping these out. Brake fluid takes a little while, so if you get some on here, as long as you're careful and wipe it off the other painted surfaces, you should be fine. Yep, looks good. Get that edge a little bit better. Okay, that's good. So that's quick, easy, relatively painless, thank goodness. Next, we are going to look at how to get the brake fluid off completely. Neutralized, quote unquote. That's what they say. Don't know if I would exactly call it neutralizing, but anyway, we're going to explain that in just a second. Okay, well, hopefully everything's in frame here. The sun's right in my eyes, so it's kind of hard for me to see the camera right now. But basically, what we're going to do here is we're going to wash the brake fluid off. Brake fluid apparently is water soluble. So, with a little bit of rinsing, whatever's left on here, whatever residue, should come right off. I don't get what's going on right here, but that's okay. So, got a hose. Just gonna soak it down. shoes are a little wet, but that's okay. So now all I'm gonna do, grab some air. That ought to do it. So as you can see right here, all the paint is gone. That is what the lenses looked like underneath, which is why they were painted in the first place, because that's ass. So anyway, next time you guys see these taillights, it will be when I'm applying some more finish to them, some paint, and just kind of finishing up with a lot of the restoration project on them. So, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a great day. If you like this totally long and somewhat unnecessary, some of it, video, feel free to like and subscribe. Comment down below if there's anything else you guys would like to see. Have a great one.